Prince Charles of England was born on November 14, 1948, at Buckingham Palace, into a monarchy still reshaping itself after the Second World War. His mother, Princess Elizabeth, was not yet queen. His grandfather, King George VI, still sat on the throne. At the time of Charles's birth, his life was already defined by a single, unavoidable reality. One day, he would be king. When King George VI died in 1952, Elizabeth ascended the throne as Queen Elizabeth II, and at just 3 years old, Charles became the heir apparent to the British crown. Unlike ordinary children, his childhood was immediately overshadowed by duty, expectation, and national symbolism. From that moment, his personal life was no longer entirely his own. Charles's early years were largely shaped by distance. His mother, now queen, was consumed by state responsibilities, while his father, Prince Philip, believed in firm discipline and emotional restraint. The royal household emphasized preparation over comfort. Affection was present, but often formal. This emotional environment would quietly shape Charles's character for decades to come. In 1956, Charles made history by becoming the first heir to the British throne to attend a regular school, rather than being educated privately at home. He was sent to Hill House School in London. While this decision was meant to modernize the monarchy, it exposed him to bullying and isolation. Charles was sensitive, artistic, and introspective, traits that clashed with the harsh expectations of traditional masculinity, especially within royal culture. His education continued at Cheam School, and later Gordonstoun in Scotland, a school favored by Prince Philip. Gordonstoun was known for its strict discipline, physical endurance, and Spartan conditions. Charles later described the experience as deeply unhappy, referring to it as colditz in kilts. Yet, the institution left a permanent mark on him, reinforcing resilience, self-control, and obedience to duty. Despite these challenges, Charles developed strong intellectual interests. He showed an early passion for history, architecture, literature, and the environment, subjects that would later define his public identity. Unlike previous heirs, he questioned tradition rather than blindly accepting it, a trait that quietly set him apart from the monarchy he was preparing to lead. In 1967, Charles attended Trinity College, Cambridge, where he studied archaeology, anthropology, and history, later switching to history alone. In 1970, he became the first heir to the British throne to earn a university degree. This achievement symbolized a changing monarchy, one attempting to align ancient tradition with a modern world. That same year, Charles formally took on his role as Prince of Wales, a title that carried centuries of expectation. His investiture ceremony in 1969, held at Carnarvon Castle in Wales, was broadcast worldwide. To some, it was a powerful display of continuity. To others, particularly Welsh nationalists, it was controversial. For Charles, it was another reminder that every step of his life would be lived under public scrutiny. As he entered adulthood, Prince Charles stood at a crossroads between personal identity and inherited destiny. He was educated, thoughtful, and increasingly aware that the crown he was born to inherit would demand sacrifice, especially of the life he might have chosen for himself. This tension would follow him into love, marriage, and ultimately, the defining controversies of his life. When Prince Charles left Gordonstoun, the bullying stopped, but its effects did not. He arrived at Trinity College, Cambridge, in 1967, outwardly more confident, but inwardly cautious. University life offered freedom that school never had, intellectual space, fewer rigid hierarchies, and a social environment less obsessed with dominance. For the first time, Charles was not constantly measured by physical toughness. At Cambridge, he gravitated toward ideas rather than crowds. He studied archaeology and anthropology before settling on history. He read widely, questioned authority, and showed a deep curiosity about culture, tradition, and humanity. Professors described him as engaged and thoughtful, not entitled. Yet even here, he remained guarded, careful not to expose too much of himself. The scars from school had taught him restraint, while his peers explored identity freely. Charles was already shaped by a lifetime of expectation. He was polite, charming, but emotionally controlled. Friendship came easier than intimacy. Vulnerability, once punished, now stayed hidden. In 1969, while still young, Charles was formally invested as Prince of Wales at Carnarvon Castle. The ceremony was historic, symbolic, and globally broadcast. But behind the spectacle was a man still adjusting to himself. He learned Welsh for the role, not out of obligation alone, but from a genuine desire to understand the people he would represent. This effort reflected something deeper, a need to connect rather than dominate, a direct contrast to the culture he endured at school. After Cambridge, Charles entered Royal Navy and Royal Air Force training, another test of discipline and masculinity. Unlike Gordon's tomb, this environment was structured, professional, and predictable. He performed competently, commanding a naval minesweeper and later serving on a destroyer. But even in uniform, he was never entirely at ease with the rigid performance of toughness expected of him. Instead, his private interests deepened. Charles became increasingly vocal about architecture, environmental conservation, and the preservation of heritage, concerns many dismissed as eccentric at the time. Critics labeled him sensitive, out of touch, or weak. In truth, these interests were extensions of a worldview shaped by years of observing how systems can harm individuals when compassion is absent. The monarchy, however, expected something else. As the heir to the throne, Charles was under constant pressure to marry, to present stability, and to embody continuity. His emotional caution, born from years of ridicule and endurance, made relationships complex. He longed for understanding but struggled to expose his inner life fully. This tension, between public role and private self, would soon collide with love, expectation, and one of the most scrutinized marriages in modern history. The boy who learned to survive by silence was now a man expected to live in full view of the world, and the lessons of his school years, endure, comply, do not break, would shape every decision that followed.